So, you may be thinking, what is juvenile delinquency? Well, in order for us to understand what it means, we are going to break it down into two different terms. The first term is juvenile. The term juvenile refers to any person under the legal age of the majority. The majority is a term that refers to any person that is not considered to be a minor, which is the age of 18 in most states. And just to give a little background information, the first formal juvenile justice system in the United States began in 1899. The state of Illinois passed a revolutionary bill regarding juvenile delinquency and authorized the establishment of the first juvenile court in Chicago. From that point on, similar legislation was enacted in all other states for dealing with children and youths accused of violating a state law.
What is juvenile delinquency? Juvenile delinquency is anyone from the ages 7 through 18 who violate their state law. The legal definition of juvenile delinquency is any act that if committed by a juvenile would be a crime and violators may expect a serious sanction or penalties. The community forbids bad behaviors by minors such as school truancy, running away from home, and being under the influence when you are not of legal age. These acts are illegal, so they are considered status offenses.
The role definition basically focuses on the actor rather than the act. A juvenile delinquent is an individual who sustains a pattern of delinquency over a long period of time, meaning that according to the role definition, someone who has only done one or two delinquent crimes is not going to be considered a true juvenile delinquent. Someone who has been doing these crimes for all their life is a true juvenile delinquent. Marginality is a person who is being caught between two conflicting cultures. Marginality is considered to cause some juvenile delinquency. The suicidal response definition. According to the suicidal response definition of delinquency, in order for an act and or an actor to be defined as deviant or delinquent, an audience must perceive and judge the behavior in question.
The role of the media in defining delinquency has created a dramatic fallacy where the media latches on to a horrifying story to entertain the public, which creates misinformation, misconceptions, and a distorted view of juvenile delinquency. Typical acts won't grab attention, like a dog biting a person, but atypical behavior will, like a person biting a dog. What's contributed to it is this hyper-connected society or techno-media, where the first draft of reality is the only draft, and has created a narrow view relating to delinquency and crime, which creates and reinforces fear, unease, hate, approval in some cases, and intolerance, and also leads to a fear of youths or ephebiphobia. A synthesized sociological definition of delinquency combines three major definitional categories: the criminal acts committed by juveniles and the status offenses deemed to be inappropriate of youth behavior, the fulfillment of the delinquent role, and considers the complex social processes involved in the social assessment and response to delinquency. And so the sociological perspective, which pursues sociological insights and research perspective, is that human behavior is generally a social act that can be traced to powerful forces in the social environment surrounding each actor.
The norms discussed in this section are folkway, mores, laws, and taboos. Folkway is an informal agreement or understanding about what is considered appropriate and inappropriate behavior. An example would be women staying at home while men go out to work, or abandoning your family. Mores are salient norms in that they are perceived as germane to the overall cohesion and survival of society. An example would be reckless driving and stealing from the elderly. Laws are formal norms that are systematically written down in a legal code that defines their violation as criminal behavior and prescribes the method and degree of punishment. And those examples are spousal abuse and murder. Moving on to taboos. Taboos are prohibitions against behaviors that most members of society consider to be so repugnant they are unthinkable. And those examples are drug addiction and incest. And our last topic is normative behavior and conformity, which is behavior that conforms or is in harmony with norms. For example, opening doors for women or giving up your seat for an elderly person.
Deviant behavior is violating institutional expectations that are widely shared and recognized as within society. Range of tolerance is greatly on several variables that are age, ethnicity, sex, and social class. The negative aspects of deviance is personal harm to victims, personal harm to deviants, threatening of norms, cause social disruption, threatening of social order, self-presentation, and positive aspect of deviance is reformulation of norms, social solidarity, unity on behalf of deviants, contract effects, and safety values and leaderships. Also, social and cultural changes and warning devices. And lastly, variable of excitement.